Got them, guys, right there.
Hey, what's going on, Saltstrong Nation? Welcome back to today's video, and we're gonna be going over shrimp versus mullet. We're gonna be talking about when to use each and also what species to target with each of those. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, so the first tip I've got for you on using shrimp versus mullet is you really need to be thinking about what time of year you're fishing. So starting out, if you're going into the winter, my number one choice would be shrimp. And really the reason for that is most of your mullet by that point have moved out to your sounds and headed back south, so they're not as prevalent in your waters during the wintertime. So the shrimp will work really, really well, and even the smaller ones. So that's why even with lures, I like using smaller profile baits. A lot of times those fish's metabolism is just a little bit slower in that winter time, in those winter months when it's just a bit colder. So definitely stick with shrimp during those colder months. All right, now moving into spring all the way to summer, really, that's when I would start to switch more over to your mullet or your fin fish presentation. And the reason for that is there are a ton of new hatches of shrimp. So the shrimp at this point are very, very small, but there are millions of them. They are absolutely everywhere. So it's really tough to find the fish with the shrimp just due to the size, and there's so much other shrimp available. So that's when I really like using a little bit bigger of a bait. And really during that time is when your finger mullets start coming into play, which is a phenomenal bait to use all the way in the spring, all the way to the summer. So if you get a chance to catch some finger mullet in your spring versus summer, that's definitely gonna be your best bet because there's so many shrimp available and present. Your shrimp, it takes a lot for it to get noticed, and a lot of times you'll just be missing fish, even if you're on them. Compared to using a little bit bigger profile bait, those mullet, those finger mullet, those anywhere from 3.5 to 5 or 6 inches, those are gonna be perfect for that spring and summer bite. All right, now as we start moving into that fall time, that's when your mullet are gonna be bigger, but so are the shrimp. And what I've noticed, especially once those first couple cold fronts come in that fall time, that's really when I like to use shrimp a lot more. One, there's not as many trash fish as there is in the spring and summer, so you're gonna get a lot more use out of each shrimp, and the shrimp are typically a little bit bigger, so those fish tend to go after them a little bit better because they know they're gonna get more calories per meal, and they're not gonna have to work as hard versus the mullet that they have to chase. So a lot of times in that fall, or once those cooler months start coming in right before winter, the shrimp bite is really, really good. All right, guys, so now that we've gone over when and what season to use which bait, let's go ahead and get into what species I like to target for using shrimp versus mullet. Now, again, referring back to the times of year, for trout, I really, really like using shrimp if I can. Now, if there's not too many trash fish and things like that around, shrimp are a really, really good presentation for catching numbers. If you want to catch some bigger fish and some bigger trout, those finger mullet really, really do produce. So it really just kind of depends on what you're wanting to go after and how many fish you want to catch versus quality. That's kind of what I use to gauge if I want to use shrimp versus mullet, and then obviously the time of year. All right, now moving into redfish, my number one favorite bait for them, even for bigger ones sometimes, is shrimp because redfish are typically very structure oriented, and you can kind of find out where different sizes and groups of those fish are, and those big fish will eat peanuts, even smaller shrimp. So I really like using shrimp for redfish, minus a couple times in the spring when those shrimp are really, really small and they're super prevalent. A lot of times I will go ahead and move to a fin fish presentation such as a mullet and possibly even a menhaden, because that's a really big food source during that time as well. And then to complete the slam, guys, for flounder, my number one favorite bait for flounder is going to be finger mullet. Anywhere from that 4 to 7 inch range, that is an absolute game changer when it comes to flounder. Flounder are ambush predators, and they love having a big meal that's easy to get. So using a bigger profile size bait that's close to the bottom, such as a finger mullet, like on a Carolina rig, or something that's gonna keep that bait down in the water column, is absolutely crucial if you wanna catch flounder. And especially bigger flounder. That's one of their biggest diets, is gonna be fin fish, especially when they start getting bigger. So using finger mullet all the way up to that 7 inch, 8 inch range will absolutely be great for you if you wanna catch more flounder. And guys, if you have any questions on this video or any of the tips I just went over, definitely be sure to leave them in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about live bait as well, we actually have a live bait mastery course on Saltstrong's site. So just be sure to go there on saltstrong.com and check it out under the courses. And if you want to know any more about the tackle or rigs that we use, definitely be sure to check it out at fishstrong.com. We've got everything that you need there. And if you're new to Salt Strong, just know that we're the best online club for saltwater anglers, especially if you're targeting redfish, sea trout, snook, or flounder. There's nothing else like it, and we actually guarantee that you'll catch more fish while saving time and money. We do this with our premium education, the exclusive insider community, and huge discounts on all the tackle you need. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. Otherwise, we hope to see you again soon.